Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into student grading. It's, one of those really core tasks in schools. Affects pretty much everyone, admins, teachers, students, guardians. And let's be honest, it often comes with its fair share of, well, headaches. We've been looking closely at how modern systems, specifically DreamClass, are built to smooth things out. Our goal here is really to walk you through what DreamClass offers, focusing on the features and the benefits for managing gradebooks.
That's right. When you look at DreamClass, it's clear the whole design philosophy is about making this vital function, which can be so time-consuming, much, much more efficient. The aim is to simplify how you manage performance records, automate the bits that really bog people down, and ultimately, free up valuable time for actual teaching and learning. We know the common frustrations, right? The old paper methods, the tricky spreadsheets, maybe even outdated software. And understanding those challenges is really the starting point for seeing where a system like DreamClass can help. So yeah, let's start there.
Okay, so let's talk about those pain points first. What are the typical frustrations schools run into before they maybe adopt something more integrated like DreamClass?
Well, the material often starts with the most traditional method, paper gradebooks. And if you've ever used those, you know the sheer amount of manual work. You're writing things down, often copying the same data multiple times, maybe transferring it somewhere else later.
Yeah, lots of room for error there.
Exactly. The risk of mistakes is high. And fixing an error on paper, it's not easy. Plus, there's the whole logistical side, managing physical documents, the worry about them getting lost or damaged. It's inherently inefficient, really.
Okay, so paper's got clear drawbacks, but what about schools that have gone digital, maybe using spreadsheets like Excel or, Google Sheets? That feels like an improvement, right? But does it solve everything?
It's definitely a step up from paper, but yeah, spreadsheets bring their own set of complications. Think about the admin side of it. You're manually updating student lists in multiple files whenever someone joins or leaves the class. That takes time.
Right. Keeping track.
And then you have to constantly double-check your formulas. Are they calculating averages correctly? Weighted grades. For every single class, sharing those files securely with teachers, admins, maybe even parents, that can get messy fast.
And getting the final results out, still a job in itself.
Often, yes. You might still be generating individual reports or documents to share, and even tiny errors, a typo, a wrong cell reference, can cause a ripple effect. You end up doing tedious manual fixes across loads of records. So better than paper. Maybe, but still very manual, very prone to error and repetition.
And then there's the older software some schools might have.
Right. Some schools invested in grading software maybe years ago, but if that software hasn't kept up, it often lacks the automation and, frankly, the user-friendliness of modern platforms. These older systems can feel clunky. Sometimes they even create more manual workarounds.
Not as flexible, perhaps.
Exactly. They might not handle different grading styles well or integrate smoothly with other school systems you're using. So DreamClass is really positioned as the smarter way forward. If any of these scenarios, paper chaos, spreadsheet struggles, outdated software, sound familiar to you.
Okay, we've laid out the challenges pretty clearly. So how does DreamClass actually tackle these? How does it simplify creating and managing gradebooks online?
This is where it gets exciting, I think. The core promise is speed and simplicity right from the start. DreamClass is designed so you can set up your online gradebooks incredibly fast. We're talking seconds, literally, which is, a huge difference from those manual methods. It provides a proper structure right away.
Seconds to set up. That sounds impressive. What specific features make that possible? What gives it that structure?
So several key things build this efficiency. First, you can create custom grading structures for each class. This is important because, let's face it, different subjects often need different grading approaches.
True. Math isn't graded like art usually.
Precisely. Within those structures, you use grade columns to organize all your assessments, homework, quizzes, tests, projects, participation, whatever you track. Then you can bundle these individual columns into categories. This is really crucial for calculating the overall grade correctly, especially if you use weighting.
Okay, so you define the structure, use columns for assessments, group them into categories. How does it handle the actual math, the grade calculations?
That's largely automated within DreamClass. You decide how the overall grade should be calculated simple average, or maybe a weighted system where exams count more than homework, for example. You set that up, and the system does the calculations automatically based on the scores you enter. And critically, it can automatically transfer those calculated overall grades right into the final grades for each student.
That automatic transfer sounds like a big deal. Prevents typos when copying final grades over, saves time.
Exactly. It removes that manual calculation and transcription step, which, as we discussed, is a major source of errors and eats up time with the older methods. You're building this comprehensive, structured gradebook without all that painstaking manual work.
That makes sense. But even with that automation, setting up multiple classes could still be repetitive, right?
Yeah.
Especially in larger schools or for teachers with similar preps. Are there tools to speed that part up?
Absolutely. Efficiency tools are built right in. Let's say you set up a grade column you use often, like weekly homework. You don't need to recreate it from scratch for every class. You can just clone that grade column and reuse it across multiple classes easily.
Okay, cloning columns helps. Is there anything for the whole gradebook structure?
Yes, and this is a big one. Gradebook templates. If your school or department has a standard grading structure for, say, all the ninth grade English classes, you create that structure once as a template. Then you can apply that template instantly to all the relevant classes. Boom, structure replicated. This massively cuts down setup time and gets rid of that repetitive configuration work.
Using templates for standard courses? Yeah, that's smart. But what about courses that don't fit a standard mold or different types of assignments? How flexible is the system with different grading scales?
That's another key area of flexibility in grading systems. DreamClass understands that not everything is graded out of 100, so it supports different formats. You can use numeric scales like 0-100 or maybe 0-10, or even custom ranges. It also handles value selectors, so your standard A, B, C, D, F letter grades.
And pass-fail.
Yes, pass-fail formats are supported too, for things like practical assessments or certain types of coursework. This flexibility means your online gradebook can actually reflect the specific grading approach you need for any course or assignment in your school.
Okay, so it's fast, it's flexible, it automates calculations, but gradebooks can be, well, just a wall of numbers sometimes. How does DreamClass help make the information easier to actually read and understand for teachers, students, parents?
Good question. Readability is key because the gradebook is a communication tool, not just a record. DreamClass tackles this with features like color-coded formatting. You can set up custom rules where specific grade ranges automatically get assigned certain colors. Maybe green for excellent, yellow for satisfactory, red for needs attention, for example.
Ah, like a visual cue.
Exactly. It helps teachers, students, and guardians quickly scan and interpret the data. You can visually spot trends or areas where a student might be doing great or maybe struggling a bit much faster when performance levels are highlighted with color.
That visual clarity seems like it would naturally lead into reporting. Are official reports like transcripts also automated?
Yes, automated reporting is another major time saver we've built in. DreamClass can generate customizable student transcripts automatically. These can pull in key data like total absences, lesson hours attended, average grades across subjects, units or credits completed, whatever your school needs to report.
And they're customizable.
Right. You can tailor them to meet your specific school or district reporting requirements. And the best part is, generating them is quick, just a few clicks. It removes that whole manual process of compiling data from different places for official records.
So you've got this clear, structured gradebook, automated transcripts. How does DreamClass then help get this vital information out to the right people? Guardians, students, administrators.
It streamlines communication and sharing in a few ways. One direct route is email notifications. You can set it up so guardians get notified and can access the gradebooks directly through their portal. They see progress near real time.
Okay, direct access for parents. What about printed records or other formats?
You can easily generate printable PDF versions of gradebooks or transcripts from meetings or official files. And if you need the raw data for archiving or maybe to use offline, you can export everything to standard formats like CSV or TXT files. It's really a suite of options designed to keep everyone, teachers, admins, students, guardians, efficiently informed.
And presumably, this is all done securely.
Oh, absolutely. Security is paramount. Access is controlled through dedicated, secure student and guardian portals. And of course, the system adheres to best practices in data protection and privacy. That's fundamental.
Wow, okay. That really covers the whole life cycle, doesn't it? From setup through calculations, readability, reporting, and sharing. So, pulling it all together, what's the big picture impact? Why should schools consider moving to online gradebooks like this now? What are the major benefits DreamClass aims to deliver?
Well, there are several significant benefits that come through. The most immediate one is probably the huge time savings. Less manual effort for teachers and administrators means more time for, teaching and supporting students. That's a massive win.
Freeing up time, definitely key. What else?
Beyond efficiency, it really promotes transparency and accountability. When teachers, students, and guardians are all looking at the same up-to-date information, it fosters trust. And that transparency directly helps improve the homeschool connection. Guardians are better informed so they can have more meaningful conversations about their child's progress.
That makes sense. And for the students themselves, what's the benefit for them?
For students, it's really empowering.
Yeah.
Having that direct access to their own gradebook, seeing their scores quickly, it allows them to monitor their own progress. They can see how they're doing, where they might need to focus, without waiting weeks for a report card.
So they become more active participants in their own learning journey.
Exactly. Ultimately, all these benefits, the efficiency, the transparency, the improved communication, the student empowerment, they lead to better control over tracking performance. And that clear, timely feedback loop is fundamental to supporting student success.
It certainly sounds like the goal is to make tracking student performance much less of a chore and more of an integrated, efficient process. Streamlined entry, customization, real-time sharing, all in one place.
Yes, precisely. Because at the end of the day, grades shouldn't just be static numbers or letters on a page. They're meant to be feedback. They should spark conversations, guide improvement, and support student growth. A tool like DreamClass, by simplifying the administrative side of grading, really aims to make space for those essential dialogues about learning, making them easier, more timely, and more effective.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. If you could significantly reduce the time and administrative hassle spent on just managing grades, how could that change the conversations you have? The focus you could bring purely to student learning and progress, both with the students themselves and with their families. Something to consider.